Thanks for joining us. I'm Megan Roberts. We have more details tonight about a Northwest Territories MLA who was harassing nursing staff at a health center in his constituency. The NWT Integrity Commissioner made that conclusion in a report. He also found that the MLA launched a campaign to have a nurse fired and that he violated the code of conduct for MLAs. Luke Carroll has been covering this for us and he joins me now live with more. So Luke, tell me about the background of this report.
So Richard Ajericon is the MLA for Tuna Day Willaday. This includes the small hamlet of Fort Resolution where he was alleged to have breached his conduct. So the 39-page report found that Ajericon had spread falsehoods about the nurse in charge of the health center. Her name is Jennifer Patterson. He claimed to have heard numerous concerns from constituents with serious allegations, including that she sent a woman home who was pregnant, who gave birth in a bathtub later that day, and that she refused to treat someone who had a heart attack who died as a result. But these were all found to be unsubstantiated.
And in what ways did Ajericon spread these stories?
So one of those ways involved letters. He was sending out letters calling for Patterson's removal and then getting leaders in the community to sign these letters, which made it look like they had written them. He also invited a reporter for NNSL who wrote a story about the allegations that he had raised. They didn't name Patterson in the story, but it was clearly directed at her as the nurse in charge. So because of all these allegations, the nurse, Jennifer Patterson, was suspended without pay and an investigation was held. Ajericon then sent text messages to constituents in the community informing them that Patterson had been suspended. So this was found to violate confidentiality. The Integrity Commissioner's report found that Ajericon may have actually believed these allegations that were brought before him, but didn't verify them, and also made no attempt to truly verify them. The Commissioner found he violated the code of conduct in his role by attacking a member of the public. He could be fined for the incident. The Commissioner has recommended he pay $2,500 and be reprimanded, but it will be up to the Legislative Assembly to decide if he should get that punishment.
So then how did Ajericon respond to this report?
Yeah, so I only spoke with his lawyer, Stephen Cooper, and this is what he had to say.
I mean, he's not happy with the outcome. I mean, he's contrite. He accepts the fact that as a new MLA, he could have done things a bit differently. His concerns are with the underpinnings of the report, not the findings of the report. And those underpinnings, of course, really is the report that was done by the GNWT into the initial allegations that Rick and others had brought about the health services in Fort Resolution.
So he says he has issues with the independent report about Ajericon's complaints. So these are what looked into the allegations against Patterson. So that report found the complaints he was raising to be unsubstantiated. And Cooper believes the process for that report was flawed.
The lack of Chipewyan interpreters, therefore basically excluding the elders in the community from either approaching the investigators and in the instance that they did, being comfortable in speaking in their language to the investigators. Why that's important, Luke, is because it was the elders that were the source of many of the complaints that Rick brought to the public notice and which ultimately resulted in the investigation and the conclusions which my client does not accept.
Now, CBC requested a copy of this investigation, but the NTHSSA said it wouldn't be releasing it publicly. So essentially, Cooper said he accepts one report, but not the report that it was based on. Cooper did say that Ajericon feels remorse. You know, he was a new MLA, and he feels bad for what happened, and his intention was never to hurt anyone. He's also issued a news release that kind of details all of this as well, Megan.
Okay, so that's what Ajericon has to say. There is also the nurse at the center of all of this. What is she saying?
Again, so I spoke with her lawyer, Austin Marshall, who spoke on her behalf.
So there's an element in this of uncertainty, if you will, coming from MLA Ajericon and how willing and sincere he is to be governed.
So the harm she experienced is detailed in these documents. It says, you know, her reputation was hurt. She ended up leaving the community and has since left the NWT. The investigation into Agericon's complaints against her found that nurses at the healthcare station were receiving regular verbal abuse, including death threats, and that Patterson needed RCMP assistance to get her belongings to move out of the community. It also found that Patterson was threatened with physical harm by someone and that charges were laid and it resulted in a peace bond. Megan.
Okay, thank you for all your work on this, Luke.
Thanks, Megan.
Well, it seemed like a regular dental visit for an Ulukhaktok patient's family until they got a notice telling them they may have been exposed to an infection. Earlier this week, the NWT Chief Public Health Office advised some Beaufort Delta dental patients to get tested for HIV, hepatitis B, and hepatitis C. That's because dental equipment used this spring across the region wasn't properly sanitized. Though the risk is very low, health officials say an investigation is underway. For those who may have been exposed, this is just the latest in a string of concerns over dental care in the region. The CBC's Nadir Hashmi has more.
The mayor of Ulukhaktok says his community is frustrated by the risk of infection from the recent dental visit. He says he and his 2 grandchildren saw a dentist this spring, which went normally until they received a health advisory this week to get tested.
We had to get blood work done in order to find out if we have these Hep B and Hep C and HIV. So we're just waiting to hear. We got blood work done yesterday. I don't know how long it will take to get those results back.
Ulukhaktok says the flying hamlet of over 400 gets dental visits once every 2 to 3 months. He said visiting dental teams should go through proper screenings before treating patients so incidents like this don't happen. Another resident from Fort McPherson is also among those affected by the infection notice. She and her 3 children were seen by a dental team in April after almost 4 years.
We never got seen since 2020. Anytime that the dental team was in the community, we had to be put on a wait list and then never got called.
Frances says she's frustrated about how they were told about the risk of exposure. She learned about it through social media.
And then only today the health center called us, telling us that we needed to get tested.
Though none of her children had any major dental procedures during the visit, Francis says it is high time the government fixes the dental conditions across the Delta region. Ulukhaktok says he and his family are trying not to worry about the risk of exposure until they get the blood test results. Nadir Hashmi, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Arctic Bay will soon have a child care facility once again. At its annual general meeting, the Kikitani Inuit Association approved $14 million for Kakivak to build the center. The CBC's Caitlin Johannes has the details.
Some communities, such as Arctic Bay, do not have child care facilities. This is where Kakivak comes in. It's working to bring in daycares in 3 communities.
Being raised in Arctic Bay, born and raised in Arctic Bay, it is very exciting.
The new center, once built, will be able to accommodate roughly 40 to 50 children. It's similar to the model in Senerayak that's currently under construction.
It's very important to have these facilities in place for our people, for the future. And we all know that the communities are not getting smaller, everybody's getting bigger.
Gail Levi is the secretary of the Arctic Bay Daycare. Back when she was a nurse 2 years ago, she saw for herself the demand of childcare.
We had people that wanted to work, were willing, had the skills, but they were hampered by not having reliable childcare.
The Arctic Bay facility will be run by half a dozen staff. Levi believes there are plenty of good candidates for the job. Both the Senerayak and the Arctic Bay Center are set to open in 2026. Caitlin Jonas, CBC News, Iqaluit.
The federal government has ordered an external review into the Nutrition North food subsidy program. The Minister of Northern Affairs made the announcement today during a meeting in Iqaluit. The program launched in 2011 and has already been reviewed several times. It's currently going through an internal review. Minister Dan Vandel says the program is working, but another review will help them stay current.
I think it's just important to always keep the saw sharp, to make sure that we're maintaining best practices. And you know the world has changed a lot in 11 years. Inflation is rampant. It's even more rampant in the north.
A ministerial special representative will be appointed early next year to launch the review. A final report will come a year later. Nunavut NDP MP Lori Idlout, though, says that is too long of a wait.
That the CEO of the Northwest Company earned $3.91 million in 1 year in salary and benefits, it means that it's going into the pockets of corporations. So that should not have to be studied for a year to figure out how to improve that.
The Northwest Company operates northern stores. It says it hopes the independent research will ensure current subsidies can keep up with inflation. CBC News also reached out to Arctic Cooperatives Limited and has not heard back. A group of Yukoners is preparing for another mission to Ukraine. Since February 2022, the Ukrainian Canadian Association of Yukon has helped welcome and relocate Ukrainians to the territory. They've also traveled to the country 3 times to deliver medical and other supplies to Whitehorse's sister city, Kharkiv.
People are living in a situation where there's uncertainty every morning when they wake up. Everywhere in Ukraine is a target for missile strikes. The situation has not gotten better.
I feel like, in many ways, going to Ukraine, it's a duty to our ancestors. Mm-hmm. We're carrying out almost like a sacred mission because, Ukrainian people have been persecuted by Russians for 300 years. And there's reasons why we have so many Ukrainians in Canada. It's because they've been persecuted in Ukraine for so many years. So when my ancestors came to Canada, they came with nothing and they established a life. And 2 generations later, I'm here at CBC Radio. I have a PhD. I have a professional life. We've benefited because my ancestors came here. So I want to go back to my ancestral country and help out the people who are there. We have a really good network of people over there in Kharkiv and within Ukraine. We all have relatives and contacts and friends that are going to look after us. We're not showing up in a place where we're sort of this unknown entity. People are waiting for us to arrive, and they're going to welcome us and help us out because we're going across the world to help them. And that kind of bond between people through culture and situations like this is it's incredible.
For the next trip, the group plans to buy vehicles in Europe to transport goods to Kharkiv. They'll also volunteer for 2 weeks by prepping meals and first aid kits for the front lines of the war. It's all set to happen next month.
He was completely unaccountable.
Prince Andrew never had somebody say the word no.
The Queen adored him more than anybody else.
This whole story is about the abuse of power.
We've got emails, we've got photographs, we've got witnesses.
Wow.
Ordinary people turn a small investment into big bucks.
I'm in it to win it.
Do you think Mummy and Daddy are going to double their money? That's what I thought.
Why, hello.
You want it? I got it.
This is so cool.
Focus, focus, focus.
Here we go.
Oh, imagine how good the TV is gonna look now.
Good God!
This is incredible.
Did you know this?
As if.
Could the pressure be any higher?
Every week, the issues that matter to Canadians.
Cost of living hurts everybody.
Connecting politics to people.
Win, win, win.
We are not going back.
Sundays, join me for Rosemary Barton Live.
It makes sense that they get a larger share, or does it?
Welcome to the Greenbelt.
All of this, just single detached homes?
Yes.
What do we know? I think we can explain.
About that with Andrew Chang. Watch free on CBC Gem.
It's got to come from the heart.
I will cry. You're so together.
How much more connected do you want to be?
See you there.
Guess what? Pinch me! Ooh. Yes!
The National Pharmacare bill has passed and become law. It'll initially focus on providing free diabetes and birth control medications. But as Kate McKenna reports, there's still more steps before it actually takes effect.
For New Brunswick resident Roger Cook, diabetes is part of life.
Right now, my sugars are running a little high, and that's because I just get done lunch.
He pays about $250 per month for medications. He's hoping soon that'll be one less thing to worry about.
I do have a young daughter, and this is going to help me focus with her educations and her needs.
This is a big deal and great news for many Canadians.
Canada's Pharmacare bill has now become law.
Folks, I'm actually very excited.
It was a condition of the now defunct deal between the Liberals and the NDP.
We have been able to achieve something New Democrats have fought for generations.
This iteration of Pharmacare would cover drugs for diabetics and contraception, billed as the first step in a broader Pharmacare program. But first, Ottawa must strike deals with provinces.
Now, we need the provinces and territories to come to the table and sign agreements with us.
Some provinces, like Alberta, Ontario, and Quebec, say they're not sold, saying healthcare is their jurisdiction. But Canada's health minister says he thinks he can get deals done by spring.
Can we not agree that everybody deserves the medication that they need?
Cook says he hopes politicians come together to find solutions.
I think it's very important because the diabetes the rates aren't going lower, cases are growing bigger, and the cost of everything is going up. And it's a shame that people have to substitute other things that are essentials for medicine.
But Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre doesn't support this Pharmacare law, saying it risks hurting private plans, costing a lot of money, and being mired in bureaucracy. Meaning even if the current government does negotiate deals with provinces, the future of this program is uncertain. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
The Quebec government was elected on a promise of providing a doctor for all Quebecers, including those in the province's far north. Earlier this week, the Quebec College of Physicians released a highly critical report on health service accessibility in Nunavik. Now, a new proposal being studied by the province is causing some concern. It could see patients considered healthy lose their family doctor to make sure those most vulnerable are taken care of. Brittany Enriquez explains.
When you have a doctor in Quebec, you consider yourself lucky.
Don't have a doctor. My doctor retired on last December, and I'm working in the health sector as part of a nurse, and it's very hard for us.
But with the province looking to improve frontline care for vulnerable patients, Radio-Canada sources say the government is considering a drastic move. Patients considered healthy could lose their doctor or be put down the waiting list. The idea comes after the release of a report commissioned by the Health Ministry. The National Institute for Excellence in Health and Social Services says out of 2.1 million Quebecers without a family doctor, 500,000 of them are considered either seriously or moderately sick. It suggests reallocating 1.5 million doctor appointments each year to serve them. The option under discussion would have only patients with complex or chronic conditions like cancer, mental health issues, cardiovascular disease, or diabetes be directly assigned a family doctor. The idea isn't landing well with some, especially coming from a government who campaigned providing a doctor for all.
I see no reason why the people of Quebec should accept anything other than a commitment from their government to ensure that every single resident of Quebec has a family doctor and access to an interprofessional healthcare team.
Patients considered healthy would instead be shifted to a modified version of the so-called GAP system, which offers appointments to patients on the waiting list for a doctor.
The thing about family medicine is everybody needs us eventually.
Some wonder what will happen to preventative medicine.
And I think if people aren't given the chance, then we're going to be doing reactive medicine and not proactive medicine. And there's so much to be said for preventative medicine. that the more we can manage early on and intervene earlier in a disease process, the less suffering, the less morbidity, the less mortality, the less cost to the system we're going to have later on.
Most patients also expressed concerns about the plan.
Everybody should have the same priority.
You might be well today, might not be well tomorrow.
Though some are more altruistic.
If it's for vulnerable people that really needs a doctor, family doctor, I mean, I don't mind. I work in I'm studying to be a therapy nurse. So I know we're seeing what it is. I know people wait a lot of years to have a family doctor.
In a statement on X, the health minister said it was too early to determine what would come of the scenario proposed by Ines. Quebec's Federation of General Practitioners also declined to comment. Brittany Enriquez, CBC News, Montreal.
Our viewers in Yukon may know about this, but if you haven't been to our CBC Yukon studio, you might not. There is an in-studio stand-up piano at our Whitehorse station, and that piano has been in desperate need of a tune-up. This week, it finally happened. It was completed by just one of 2 piano technicians in the territory. The CBC's George Moratis profiles Yukon's piano man.
My name is Barry Kitchen, and I'm a piano technician. I know of a few people that know how to tune pianos, okay? And as far as an actual piano technician goes, I know of one other, and I know of 2 people that have approached me in the last year that are interested in becoming piano tuners or piano technicians. I'm tuning 200 pianos a year. So during the week, when you think about it, there's 200 school days in a year, So it keeps me busy. I'm out there every week tuning pianos.
Do you love it, or what's it like?
Out of all the jobs I do, this is my favorite, okay? I also teach piano, and I also play piano, and I play for the community choir and other things. But tuning piano is my favorite.
Why?
I think there's a certain satisfaction that comes after I finish tuning it, that this sounds so good now. It's an art form, it's a certain talent that's not just plain scientific. I have to make adjustments in how I tune a piano according to the piano itself. Every piano is different.
Yeah, no one's upset when they see a piano technician coming to their door, right?
That's right. They welcome me with open arms. Well, I started piano lessons when I was 8 years old. And I didn't actually enjoy piano lessons, but I enjoyed playing the piano. And so as I grew up and I was able to play pieces like Let It Be by the Beatles and stuff like that, I just became so much more attracted to the piano, And when I got to university, I got a Bachelor of Music, but I was still just interested in playing, not in tuning or anything like that. It wasn't until when I entered my 40s that I became interested in actually learning how to tune a piano and fix pianos. It actually depends on the piano. I have averaged that it takes usually an hour and 10 minutes to tune most pianos. But if a piano's really badly out of tune, you have to go back and tune some of the notes you've already tuned, because sometimes they go out of tune while you're tuning it. If it's got loose tuning pins, or if it's really flat, then it'll start dripping or falling in pitch again, And so I have to go over it a second time. You have to do a double tuning.
What a great piece. That would make great music for Thanksgiving, and they say it's not Thanksgiving without turkey, but some Inukshuk High School students in Iqaluit think otherwise. They spent yesterday cooking up a Thanksgiving-style feast, Arctic style. On the menu was mukta, as well as a clam and char stew.
Country food is the best food, and serving it to people and them enjoying it makes me happy.
For other students, the work was hard but rewarding.
Some people don't want it in their stew. Yeah.
I practiced cooking today, this morning, that I enjoyed, but I didn't get to eat today because I was busy helping.
For those who are really craving turkey, though, the school will be doing a Southern-style Thanksgiving lunch after the long weekend. And that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts. Have a great long weekend and happy Thanksgiving. We leave you with some more moments from Inukshuk High School's Arctic-style lunch to get you hungry for the holiday.
We carry a world of information in our pockets because we want to know. Breaking news that shapes your world.
All right.
Reporting from the scene onto your screens.
Dropping the 8 now. We are just approaching Gaza.
With local CBC Radio 1 Live to connect us closer to home. It's news you can trust, delivered when you want, where you want. On the CBC News app. Download for free.
Hi, friends. Guess what? Pinch me. Ooh. Mind blown. Yes!
I'm not a delicate lady.
I don't know who needs to hear this.
I had a man do an impression of me recently, and he lowered his voice, so...
What's going on upstairs for them?
I'm sorry.
Nailed it.
Your sister.
She tried to kill herself.
Mom showed me your suicide note.
Thank you for putting me on it. I was like 2/3 down the list. Feels like I was an afterthought. I just didn't want it to go to your head.
Every week, the issues that matter to Canadians.
Cost of living hurts everybody.
Connecting politics to people.
We are not going back.
Join me for Rosemary Barton Live.
News you can trust, when you want, where you want. Download the free CBC News app.